Hello, friends. Happy Thursday and Happy New Year. Oh, let's all hope that it's a good one. Okay, so I have got one of my favorite cards to do today, favorite style card, but this one's just got a little bit of a different twist to it. I'm doing a joy fold, which if you've been around my channel long, you know that I really like to make those, but this one is a diagonal joy fold, which is slightly different. I don't think I've made one of these before. I could be wrong, but anyway, it's really fun, and I am going to use this cute bird stamp that my friend Jill sent me, Jill Norwood. And this is a woodblock stamp. I did show this before. It's a vintage stamp from Stamp Cabana. And I don't know. Oh, look, I forgot to turn the volume down on my iPad. There we go. That's better. All right. What was I saying? Anyway, yeah, I don't know what year it's from. I'm also using a couple of stamps from this Sweet Miss Daisy Designs. You can find this on Etsy. These are illustrated by Anna White, and she's got all kinds of fun stamps over there. And also I am using paper from Anna's collection. This is the Rustic Winter. So it's got all of these designs in here. I love the color palette in this. All right, so I did my best to try to match up some Stampin' Up! Colors because that's mostly, well, all my Stampin' Up! Inks are in front of me. I've got Fun Stampers Journey inks, I've got Distress inks, but mostly I play with my Stampin' Up! Inks. So I did my best to match up ink and paper to match with this color palette here. Hey Nancy, Happy New Year. All right, so I have a base here. Now this is a retired color called Mary Merlot. And this is just going to be our standard size card base of 5.5 by 4.25. And so let's just start with that. I need to bring in a trimmer here. And I'm going to score this at 4.25. Okay, so let me get this folded. Make sure I don't have it folded crooked. Running out of room. Looks a little crookedy to me. Maybe this. Oh, I have to show you something I got from Amazon. That I thought was fun. So I spotted these. I don't know what I was searching for, but I spotted these on Amazon, and it's all airmail, like stationery. So there's this. I thought this would be fun for journal making or envelope making or however you want to use these papers. But these are double-sided, and there's different, you get so many of each pattern. I love the vintage sort of tea-stained look that some of them have. Aren't these fun? Okay, so there's the papers. I mean, and if you just wanted to use them as stationery, you could. These are all the envelopes. I'm not going to pull them all out, but I'll pull one stack out and just kind of flip through so you can see how fun these are. And they match up with the papers. But they're all airmail. And then totally getting off topic here from our card, but and then you get, what do you get? 3 sheets of ceiling stickers, or however you want to use them. Aren't these fun? So it says 160 packs. There's not 160 in here, but there might be 160 pieces. That wouldn't surprise me because you get a good amount in here. So I thought that was fun. And since we're on the topic of mail, did you hear that, is it not the Netherlands, Norway? Oh gosh, now I can't remember what country it is. Has stopped mail delivery. They're not going to have mail delivery anymore, ever. They are delivering packages and Amazon packages and stuff like that, but they're not having regular mail delivery. I hope that never happens here. Can you even imagine? I can't. Okay, so we've got our fold over here on the left. We're going to put, so this is the front of the card. We're going to put it back in the trimmer, and we are going to match the fold, the top of the fold up here in the cutting trough, and the other corner down there diagonally, and we're going to snip this off. Now, just put this in your scrap. We're really not going to use this for anything. So now we have this, okay? Get out of my way for now. And I did pre-cut things in here. So I've got a bunch of parts and pieces. So we're going to be doing some layers. And these are the 2 pieces that I picked out from the Rustic Winter Paper Pack. And so this piece here, my patterned paper, is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. I have another solid piece here that's going to layer behind it, and that is 1/8 of an inch bigger. So each layer is just 1/8 of an inch from the next, okay? So this is going to go in here, and my green that I picked out, you're probably thinking, why did you pick that green? Because in the stitching on this piece right here, if you can see it, is this green. So I tried to match up, and it's not a perfect match. Actually, I think the perfect color that would have gone with this was another retired color from Stampin' Up! Called Evening Evergreen, but I didn't have that color of cardstock, so I picked Shaded Spruce. And there's only going to be a little tiny bit of it that shows up anyway, but it will pick up on the green that's in here. And I thought that this color, the Mary Merlot, picked up really nicely on the other stitching that is in the paper. So let's just get these 2 pieces attached. Here you can kind of see the Mary Merlot stitching color a little bit better. And then that green, which is totally not this green, but neither is the stitches on there. So it's fine. It all comes together in the end. And really, if I wanted to make that color of cardstock, since I don't have that color, I could always take a brayer onto white, since I have the ink in that color. And I could have brayered edges, you know, around that would be showing, but this is really going to be just fine and dandy. Okay, so let me get this onto my green here best as I can. There we go. Now this has some writing down here, which I love. It's all very distressed. You can use whatever adhesive that you want to use. And then we're just going to put this right inside here, making sure to get it centered as best as you can, but don't go over your fold line. All right, there we go. So here's what we've got going on so far. So now for the layers on this diagonal piece, I've got this piece and this piece. And what I did was, let me take my bone folder and just give that a little bit better of a score here. If you take a 4 by 5 1/4 rectangle and then just cut it diagonally, you're going to end up with 2 pieces of this, which is what I did. And then you can actually make 2 cards, okay? So you'll start with your 4 by 5 1/4 diagonal or rectangle cut diagonally to get this piece. And then you're going to take another rectangle that is 1/8 of an inch larger each way and do the same thing, cut it diagonally to get your layer to go behind it. I hope that makes sense. And then we'll put it on here. And so there should just be that little peak of green. Now for this one, I'm going to use my liquid glue just so I can make sure that I get it swirled around right. And I want to get my glue at these pointy points so they don't go popping up. And it's easier to do that, I think, with liquid glue than my other stuff. I love this gingham that's on the back side of this paper. Okay. Get glue all over this so it sticks good. I have a harder time holding on to these diagonal pieces. All right, let me see if I can get this on here. That's looking pretty fair, but over here, not so much. Slide it a bit. Okay, that looks good. So we've just got that little peak of green coming from behind there. And now we need to put it on here. So I'm just going to do the same. So here's an unrelated story. So I made chicken and dumplings the other night, and I make my dumplings with Bisquick, and they never turn out the way they used to. And a lot of food is not how it used to be, mixes and pre-made cookies and stuff like that. I'm sure, you know, that you've all noticed it too. Like let's take, for instance, Chips Ahoy cookies. You open a bag of those, they look like freeze-dried dough. They don't look like baked cookies. They certainly don't look the way they used to back in the day. Now, when I put this part onto the front here, it's much easier to open it up and lay it like this so you can see where your lines are as opposed to it being closed. Anyway, so my dumplings just never turn out. I mean, the dumplings themselves turn out fine, but the broth doesn't get thick and creamy like it used to. And I have not changed the way that I make them. We use non-fat milk here, but when I make things like dumplings, I will buy a carton of 2% milk. I don't go the whole way to just whole milk, but or whatever you want to call it. In Alabama, they call it sweet milk. And anyway, I'm carrying this on too long, but so I was watching a video this morning, and the gal, this lady lives in Alabama, and she was making dumplings using Bisquick, which I thought was different for people who live in Alabama. They usually just make from scratch. And so I was watching her, and the first thing she did was, well, she didn't boil a chicken ahead of time because she had some chicken that off the bone that she'd already saved. So she used a carton of broth. She plopped in maybe a half a cube of butter into the broth, maybe not quite that much. And I thought, yeah, the recipe doesn't call for butter, but her dumplings turned out and the broth got thick and it looked right, unlike the way mine looks. And you know, they've taken so much, like I said, they've taken so much stuff out of mixes and stuff to make them better and healthy and or whatever, that I think that's going to solve the problem the next time I make dumplings. I'm going to plop a bit of butter into the broth and see what happens. More than you wanted to know by coming to a card making video. All right, so here I have another piece of that Mary Merlot, and this measures 8 inches by 3 inches, so we end up with a 3x4 card folded at the top. And then I have another layer of green that I'm going to use on that. And I've got another piece of the green. Now this is cut 1/8 of an inch smaller than 3x4. And then I've got a piece of very vanilla. I have two because these two stacks are going to be the same measurements, well, the green and the vanilla. So the vanilla measures 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. Okay. And then the green's 1/8 of an inch bigger. So 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. And then my next layer is 1/8 of an inch bigger than that. So I can go ahead and glue these two pieces together. And then this one I'm putting on the inside of this little card here. So this is actually going to be the inside of our whole card, this area right here. And I'm not going to stamp a message in it just yet, because this card will end up being an all occasion kind of card, whatever I want it to end up being. You know, so it could end up being a birthday card or a thank you card or a hello card or whatever. So I just will wait till the time comes to stamp something on the inside. All right, let's get this in here. Those little 1/8 of an inch edges are just not as easy to layer up sometimes. But there we go. That worked out okay. All right, so we'll set that aside. And now we can do some stamping. I've got my other layer there. And now we're going to stamp. So from this stamp set here, which is called Correspondence Bits by Sweet Miss Daisy Designs, you can find on Etsy. I've got this one mounted up, and I've got this one mounted up. And this bit here is actually taken from a letter. I hope I have this right, Anna, if you're watching, that Anna's grandfather wrote to her grandmother. So it is actually a bit of a letter from her family. I think that's so, it's with all my love, RK. Yeah, so cute. All right, so anyway, I've got those stamps mounted up on my blocks here, and I'm going to take some Mary Merlot ink. Oh, and by the way, the inspiration for this card came from one I saw on Pinterest, which was submitted by Sherry Roth. Okay, so here we go. And I'm just going to grab a piece of scrap paper. And then I won't have to dirty up this whole sheet here. And let's see, I'm going to ink this up in the Mary Merlot. But I'm going to stamp off even maybe a couple of times. And I'm just going to stamp it there. Stamp off. And stamp it there. Okay. And I'm done with that one. Then I'm taking this postage one and I'm going to do the same sort of thing. Stamp off. I'm going to put one there. And I'm not even going to re-ink it. I'm just going to stamp it again up there in the corner. So there we have that. Hey Sue, Happy New Year. All right, so now I have my bird. And I wanted to match this color. So I played around, I pulled a few of my colors out, and finally I went with Wild Wheat, which seems to be a almost perfect match to this color. And I know Anna mentioned in one of her videos that she loved this Wild Wheat color. It was not one of my favorite colors when it first came out. Actually, I'm going to turn my stamp upside down here and ink it this way. It's just easier with a big stamp to do it that way. And I want to get it good and inked. I figured I would have to use a stamp positioner, but after playing with it, this stamp stamps so well. And as long as you've got a good juicy ink pad, you don't have to worry about using a stamp positioner. Anyway, yeah, you know, colors grow on you. Okay, so let me see here. Doing my best to get Mr. Birdie where I want him. And I'm just gonna let him set here and give it a good push to make sure that I get it on there. But yeah, Wild Wheat, I didn't have that color in my mind till I sat here looking at the colors, and I thought, let me ink that up and stamp it and see, and sure enough, it was just what I needed. All right, so there is Mr. Birdie. I could have gotten the edge of his head a little bit better over there, but we're not going to worry about it. It'll be okay. All right, so now I've got my little finger dauber. I'm going to bring Mary Merlot back and just go around the edge of this a little bit. Ken got me for Christmas a hand pan drum. I'm so tickled. And then he wanted me to put some things on my Amazon list that I wanted. So I put a set of crochet hooks. I'll have to bring them in here in one of my next videos and show them to you. They're absolutely gorgeous. They have they're clear and have flowers in them. And they're like ergonomic handles. And then also I had completely forgot, this wasn't on my Amazon list, so I don't even remember if he got it on Amazon or where he got it, but it's Lucy. So I love Lucy, right? It's Lucy and Desi Love Letters. It's a book, and it's letters that they wrote back and forth to each other. It's a really cool book. So I'm kind of thinking for story time, we might play with that book a little bit and do some reading out of it. Okay, so can you see how well this color matches? So good. Okay. It's perfect, isn't it, Nancy? It's just like the right color. Okay, so now let me get to this layer onto my card. And then we'll get this one on. And now I have some twine here. And if you wanted to do this between your green layer and your card, you could do that. I'm just going to wrap it around the whole top part of the card. And I'm going to wrap it around 3 times. I'm going to tie it in a knot. And then I'm going to tie a bow. And we'll just make that a little smaller. Give it a tug there to make sure it's good and tight. And I will snip the ends off after I get this where I want it, which is you're going to open the little flippy flap up and we're going to position it right in the middle there. And I'm going to go ahead and use my liquid glue for this. So, Miss Anna has a new release coming out Saturday, and she's been showing sneak peeks. Sounds like there might be a couple of new snowman designs and a skunk, which looks so cute. So yeah, she's been showing those sneak peeks online. All right. So let's get this put in the middle. And you want to make sure that you have it centered best as you can. And straight. Because of this flap's going to come over and the flap of this is going to go over the top of it. So let me just open that and give this a little rub here. So just like that. So there is our card, and let me just trim the tails off of this. There we go. Isn't that cute? I just love joy fold cards. And there's so many different ways you can make them. So you could totally make this be a landscape card too. You'd want to make your diagonal different and not open this way, but yeah. I just was so tickled at how this ink matched the paper there. And see that green, even though it's not quite a perfect match to the green stitching in here, there's just such a small amount of it. It's just enough to give it a little zippity doo-dah. And here's the first one I made. Yeah, I got the beak and the head of the bird stamped a little bit better, but I don't think anybody would know that that bird's beak wasn't supposed to be that length. It was supposed to be longer, but I didn't push hard enough when I stamped it down, and that's where the stamp positioner would come in. And if you don't have a stamp positioner for a woodblock stamp, I will show you a couple of different ones that I have. This, I'm sure you can still find ones that are like this. This one was from close to my heart from years ago. And you just line your stamp up here onto your paper. And like me stamping onto this size of paper here, I would need to have my paper probably stuck down with some removable tape to this piece of paper or my glass mat, put my stamp on it where I want it, and then bring this up to match where I have it, and then leave that there. If you lift your stamp up, if you need to re-ink it, you want to make sure that this is staying right where you had it. Carefully re-ink your stamp and then put it right back into the corner. So that's how this works. I have another one, and I don't know if there's anything even like it on the market anymore. It's the same sort of idea, but it's all one piece here. This was called a Stampograph Precision Repositioner and Image Enhancer. This was by a company called Mostly Animals. And I know that's not around anywhere, or I don't think it is anyway. You might be able to try to find one on eBay or something, but I love this thing because what's really handy, and you could do the same thing with that, but you, it has a slick surface, so you would tape your paper down and do the same way that I showed you with this one, only the angle here is a little bit different. This worked really well to put a really light stamp of, say, let's say this one. You stamp it really faintly with using this, and then you do all your coloring, and then you come back over, ink your stamp back up with your black ink or whatever color, but black is what's, you know, works really well for this technique. And you stamp back over after you've colored it, and it makes all the black outlines and the black in these little squares up here be so striking. And so like I said, you could do the same thing with this. This just made it a little bit easier because it was all in one place and you didn't move your paper or anything like that. So, you know, somebody should bring this back if there's not one. If there's nobody with a design like this, somebody should bring it back, because just because there's not a lot of companies out there selling woodblock stamps anymore doesn't mean there's not a lot of us out here stamping with them and using them and wanting tools like that. Okay, so that is that. Here's the cards again. So cute. Hi, Kelly. Happy New Year. All right, so look, I'm still reading in this mini book of Zen. Okay. There's not a lot of pages left. Keep your hands open, and all the sands of the desert can pass through them. Close them, and all you can feel is a bit of grit. What we call I is just a swinging door which moves when we inhale and exhale. Alrighty. One word of explanation already misses the mark. Better than the one who knows what is right is he who loves what is right. That's by Confucius. Most of these names who said these things I can't pronounce. An integral being knows without going, sees without looking, and accomplishes without doing. I'm going to finish this off because I'm ready to start on something else. The reverse side has also its reverse side. That's a Japanese proverb, but this is a pretty picture. When you are deluded and full of doubt, even 1,000 books of scripture are not enough. When you have realized understanding, even one word is too much. Fen Yang. Rather than spend eons without an awakening, have no second thoughts. We all want to be famous people, and the moment we want to be something, we are no longer free. Chance implies an absolute absence of any principle. If a pickpocket meets a holy man, he will see only his pockets. There is only the one reality, neither to be realized or attained. To say I am able to realize something or I am able to attain something is to place yourself among the arrogant. Heaven-sent calamities you may stand up against, but you cannot survive those brought on by yourself. I can understand that one a bit. A lot of times we cause our own problems that, we just make up in our head. Not only can I not recall my experiences in my previous lives, sometimes I can't even remember what I did yesterday. That's a good one. We must learn to be still in the midst of activity and to be vibrantly alive in repose. To understand everything is to forgive everything. We're almost to the end. Sitting quietly, doing nothing, spring comes and the grass grows by itself. When Christmas is over, I'm ready for spring. Let's just jump to spring weather. Gaining enlightenment is like the moon reflected on the water. The moon doesn't get wet. The water isn't broken. Although its light is broad and great, the moon is reflected even in a puddle an inch wide. The whole moon and the whole sky are reflected in one dewdrop on the grass. True that. Think with the whole body. The raft of knowledge ferries the worst sinner to safety. Look at that cute image with that birdie. Last one. There's monkeys on that picture. We should find perfect existence through imperfect existence. The end. We're done with this. A little book of Zen. Okay. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today, you guys, and listening to all my this and that while we made this fun card. Yeah, even though I didn't get it stamped perfectly up there, I think it's okay. I really do. This bird just looks different than that bird, that's all. He's a bird of his own. Yep. Diagonal joy fold card. All right, you guys have a great weekend, and I hope the rest of your New Year's Day is wonderful. I'm reading your comments here. Thanks so much, you guys. I am glad to be done with that book for some reason. It wasn't as much fun as I thought it might be. Yeah. Okay. Do something crafty. Ken thought today was Saturday. I'm like, today's only Thursday. And you could just see this light come on like, woohoo, it's only Thursday. All right, take care. I will see you soon. Don't forget to check out Anna's release that's happening Saturday. I don't know all what's in it, except for the sneak peeks I've seen. 1 or 2 snowmen. I'm thinking 2. And a skunk with flowers. So cute. All right, you guys, take care. Happy crafting. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.